Okay, we are here today because Lennar Homes is unfair to the National Black Contractors Association, and more in particularly the Young Black Contractors Association, a general engineering contracting firm that's locally from this area for the last 35 years. We're appalled at what's going on because we had 11 black people out here working and they all were laid off due to a discrepancy of so-called dollars. Well, we understand that the dollars that were allocated for this project might have gone in a different direction. On that note, I want to introduce some of the people that are out here with me today. Just one really. I want to introduce Brother Daoud Sherrells.
How you doing? My name is Daoud Sherrells. I'm here in full support of the Young Black Contractors Association and demanding transparency and also opportunities for local African Americans who are faced with the highest unemployment numbers in the state of California. And black subcontractors who normally never get the opportunity to even compete on public projects like this that our tax dollars are invested in to make sure that it creates two things: housing for the people and job and opportunities for the community. And you know, it's time for us to expose those people who are involved with utilizing these developments for their own self-gain and enriching themselves, and not really caring about the concerns of other people who are interested in feeding their family through work. And we'll be here, and this is an issue that's not going to go away until we get justice.
We want to make sure we let the public know, because we've mentioned this to the city of Carson before, that there were some problems out here on the site. And as I've mentioned this to the city of Carson, I don't know if they've had meetings, but I think they've had some sort of contact with the developer and contractors. It was said early on that we couldn't work out here because we didn't have a contractor's license or insurance. Well, if you look at the state board, you will see that our license has been good for the last several years. I don't know where these people are coming from. The only thing that I can see is that they put this vehicle together without inclusivity of black contractors. I think the nonprofits got what they were supposed to get. I think the head Negroes in charge got what they wanted to get. And it's just to the point right now, we're hoping that the NAACP, the oldest civil rights organization involved, which I've been deeply involved with for years, we're hoping that they step out and support us on this and get us to the table with these people, because they refuse to meet. If you don't have anything to hide, why won't you at least meet? They don't even want to meet. They say things about you that are not true. We've done multi-million-dollar projects throughout LA County over the last 30 years. And here it is now, we have a company saying that we don't know how to pump water. We're very ineffective at pumping water. We have local hire, local people, local training. We have all that within our jurisdiction, and Lennar Homes don't want to address that. I don't know why, but it needs to stop. Right now, when you look at the overall aspect of how blacks are faring, I shouldn't say faring because that's the name of the developer. When you look at how blacks are not getting work in the county of Los Angeles, you have to look at we're less than 1/10 of 1% on any public agency. And that's got to be by design. And we're still hooping and hollering about what we can do and how we're going to do it, and we shall overcome. Well, I want the state of California and the Democratic Party to know that as you work hard for the illegals, you should work just as hard for your black people. We're out here, and this company is telling us, take all your black butts home, we can hire illegals for a fraction of what we're paying you. This is what we're dealing with. This is the kind of stuff you deal with back in Mississippi 40, 50 years ago. This is Jim Crow at its finest. What do we have to do to get these people to realize that we deserve an opportunity on some of this work? This is about Build Back Better. This is about all the different things that's supposed to happen with the infrastructure. This is about all the monies that are allocated for the community. This is community-based business, and we're not involved. We're not involved because people say, oh, he doesn't live in Carson. How many of these white boys that you've hired to give the farm away live in Carson? None of them. So don't use that narrative with me. The bottom line is, I got love, I got respect for the city of Carson, always have. When other cities wouldn't hire us back in 2007, the city of Carson made sure we stayed in business. And we're only asking at this point that the city of Carson get back involved with the NAACP and some of our other power broker organizations to make sure that we get a fair assessment at the table to sit down and talk about what's readily available to do business on. You don't tell me we're going to do underground utilities and give you a bid on it, and then when we look up, the job is already being executed. You don't tell me for 6 months you want me to do the underground for Lennar, and then when it comes down to getting the plans for Lennar, you don't even respond anymore. What kind of a business have the city of Carson hired to do with these people? What is the game plan? How is this even taking place?
Come to the table. Let's sit down like gentlemen. Let's make deals where everybody benefit and not a selected few. Or else, we're gonna escalate this, and we're not gonna stop until justice is served. And so that's the way we coming, and we'll go to the highest level. And like I said, if it takes me that we start organizing and shutting these type of operations down, because it's illegitimate for people to come in our community with $1 billion and you turn around and you only hire 1% of the population, 1% of the community and the surrounding communities. You're not giving no minority companies the opportunities that sometimes is wrote in the same language that you must do. And so a lot of these developers and contractors come into historical black communities and communities of color and just take full advantage. And sometimes it's not so much of how they do it. We gotta look at the leadership, because this is the type of leadership that's giving these people cover. They're giving them cover because there's something strange in the milk. And so if we have to call upon the type of investigation and forensic investigation with reference to the economics as it tied to a lot of corruption that goes on in development projects, then that's what we're gonna do. We call for watchdog groups for to monitor certain situations like this. This is taxpayers' money. This ain't a private situation, whereas you ain't supposed to invite the community. This is supposed to be transparent. Everybody in Carson is supposed to know. But as I talk to people in the Carson, don't nobody know what's going on around there. So when there's secrecy and darkness, that's where all the corruption and crime rise from a development standpoint of view, from a white collar standpoint of view, from a government corruption standpoint of view. So my thing is that get with us and let's resolve these issues so that everybody can be happy. Everybody can have a good Christmas, a good holidays, and everything that everybody's enjoying, living off the taxpayers' money right here in Carson in this development project.
The one thing that's sad, the one thing that's the saddest to me is that we're saying the exact same thing that black people talked about in '65. We're doing the same thing. We're having to get out and advocate for an opportunity to be involved or to work. And it's just not right. We've had enough leadership that look like we look to have dispelled the myths about what we can and can't do. So if we're gonna get out here and be fair, we gotta be fair across the board. Being fair across the board is giving a person a chance. Remember when black people couldn't play in the NBA? Remember when black people couldn't play in the NFL? Remember when black people couldn't play in the NFL? Simply because that was by design. And now here it is, the same thing in construction right now. We're being told what we can't do because we're not getting an opportunity. When you need an opportunity, you need a fair assessment of an opportunity, not just some guy saying, I'm going to give him a shot and slam the door on him. So where's the training dollars? Where's all the apprenticeship stuff? Where's everything that goes with the community? This is community-based situation. It should be filled and held and cared for by the community, not some yahoos that want to pop up like Jimmy the Cricket and say, I got the deal, I got you guys what you wanted, let me go. So clearly, we just wanted to make a statement today. We do not want to go to the lawsuit format. We will if we have to. The investigation, we've already contacted Rob Bonta's office. We want him to investigate this. This is ridiculous for people to come in and do the community this bad at this day and age. Thank you for coming out. We want to add to the fact that we are almost 100,000 in debt to these guys from working out here for 2 weeks, and we have not been paid. If you fire someone, you should pay them automatically right away, not tell them to wait and go through your system because you fired them.